Hey everybody, Sage here, and in this episode, we're going to do something a little different. 2025 is the 10-year anniversary of being a YouTube creator, so it makes sense that we take a look back at videos that I made in the past. But before we get to that, I want to take a trip back to when I made videos, not on YouTube, but rather my website. Yes, back in 2014, I used to make videos for my website's Video Corner, which is basically just a portal page that contained links to video files. But this was my way of releasing my videos to the public, at a time when I just did this for fun, and before I created my first YouTube channel in February of 2015. Today, we're going to look back at 4 of them from my back catalog, and the reason why I picked these particular ones was because they were the shortest ones I could find, with a combined running time of about 20 minutes, without any interruptions. These videos will be played in their entirety. However, every time I need to chime in, like say correcting a mistake, I'll pause the video. So as you can probably tell, this episode is going to be pretty long, so I hope you have some popcorn on ya. I surely don't. But without any further delay, let's get going. So the first video we'll be looking at today is from December 13th, 2013. This video is about the FreeCommentScript widget. This is an HTML widget created by Jason Anderson. The website for it technically does still exist, but sometimes it won't even load, and when it does load, the HTML code doesn't generate at all. So yeah, it's pretty much dead. Plus, the website is also HTTP instead of HTTPS, so that might be the reason why. This video is about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so it should be relatively short, but let's begin.
Hey guys, this is SFC from SageFun.com, and this is my second video screen recording. My last video was the guided tour. If you want to check it out, go ahead.
Okay, quick context here. So, yes, this was my second video I made for my website back then. My first video was about a guided tour of my website, which unfortunately is lost media. I don't remember exactly what happened, but at the time I had all my data stored on my main computer on the internal hard drive. This was before I had external hard drives and backup drives. So I stored everything on the internal drive, and when I was running out of space, I had to delete some data, and I believe the website guided tour was one of them. So yeah, unfortunately, that video I can't show you because I don't have it anymore, but this one, thankfully, I did save. So yeah, this is the earliest video I have archived on my end. But anyways, as you can see, this was my website back in 2013, back when I used to be called SFC, that was the precursor to Savvy Sage, and you'll see a bunch of links here. We've got Software Showcase, which may or may not have been a ripoff of something else. Then we've got the Hardware Room, Video and Text Area, Blogcast, okay, Questions Area, basically a Q&A, and finally, an email contact link. Now, the page that you're seeing right here is for a fan game called Minecraft Adventure Quest, which didn't really last very long. This was a very common thing for me to work on a project and then suddenly just drop interest in it. But thankfully, I did keep an archive of this fan game. I don't have plans to release it, of course, for obvious reasons, but I still have the files for it, and it is still playable, so there you go. But that's not the focus of this particular video, of course.
But this video is all about the new comment system we're going to be adding in SageFun.com 1.46. So we're going to take a look at it.
Yes, my website had version numbers. I don't do that anymore for a variety of reasons. It's hard to keep track.
And I'll show you how it works. So over here, down here, we got this nice picture. And the text that says, I'm testing out my first redstone circuit. And I'm also testing out a comment box. Because we added a comment box. And I'll show you what it looks like. This is it. I got from FreeCommentScript.com. You got your basic name. You got your comment here. You got your pop-up that says guest in there, and you also have your emoticons. I like to call them emotions, and
emoticons. Yeah, first off, that's emoticons. Second, those are emojis. These icons right here, those are emojis, not emoticons. Emoticons, I believe, are text only, while emojis are graphical. Unless those do create emoticons, like you can do on Discord. You could just type in emoticon and it creates an emoji. It's been a long time since I've tested this, so I don't know for sure.
You got your approval text field with the math problem. You need to solve a math problem in order to post a comment. Anyway, we're going to get going.
Yep, you had to solve a math problem to post a comment. Eat your heart out, reCAPTCHA.
I'll show you how you post a comment in this page here. So type in your name here, and yeah, autofill. Yeah, it's called autofill feature.
That was a Safari thing, I believe. Chrome also has this, but I think it's automatic or something. I don't remember.
Guest. You could select from Guest, Google, or Facebook. If you have a Google account, you could post on Google. You can post on Facebook. It's really cool, and it's pretty useful. So that's why I like this pretty much. We also enter your comment here. For example, this is a comment test. If the comment is seen, then it works. And then I'll add an emoticon with it.
Again, it's emoticon or an emoji.
To show you that I think emoticons do work. So let's get going.
So those emojis do convert into emoticons, which then convert back to an emoji. Gotcha.
Then we'll answer the math problem. Post a comment. Click here. Now you'll see some yellow text that says, "Thank you for your comment. It will be received and appear public shortly." As you can see, there's my emoticon.
Again, emoticon. That's like the third time, man.
So let me show you how the reviewing and moderators work. You go to...
Okay, I want to pause this for a moment because this gets me quite nostalgic. First off, you got the top sites page from Safari, and two, all of these web pages get me a bit nostalgic. I believe the majority of them are still active, while some of them no longer exist, like this Lemmingports website here that I'm pretty sure no longer exists. But Apple.com is still a thing. Toontown Rewritten is still a thing. Truck Paper, is that still a thing? Oh yeah, there you go. You also got ComputerClan.com, which is also still a thing, much different than it was back then. But yeah, a lot of these websites, aside from Mojang.com, that now redirects to Minecraft.net, yeah, a lot of these still exist, and surprisingly have mostly remained unchanged. Yes, that even includes this Beyond iWeb website, which I believe does still exist. So yeah, I kind of got quite a bit nostalgic just by that image alone. Oh yeah, and there's also my website over here, my old website from years ago. But we'll ignore that for the time being.
Like my email here. And there you go. There's my inbox. And over here I have the FreeCommentScript. It's a comment approval request. Website URL, your IP address, date created, your name that you typed in, and your comment that you typed in. And then you can moderate your comment by showing it or deleting it, or you can stop users from preventing comments by clicking here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the comment because it's just a test comment. Click here.
Also, high background noise. Yeah, the audio quality was not a priority with my older videos, but hey, we had to start from somewhere.
And as you can see, your comment was successfully denied.
Denied.
So, after that, go ahead and reload the page. It should update. And there you go. So, no comments. It was seen before, now it's no longer seen.
No comment for you.
It's not live, but it does work. So that's our new comment system. It's a test, and if you want to try it out, go ahead and type in your comments. Just type in your name. Just be a guest. Go ahead and type in your comment, and maybe I'll approve some. So just go ahead and post a comment on our Minecraft Adventure Quest. This is just a test. It's not even finished yet, and you might see some bugs.
Yeah, go ahead and type a comment in, and hope it gets approved.
So that's it for this video, and goodbye.
Yeah, don't even bother going to that page. It's not going to exist. But there you go. That was my, I guess you could say, my earliest archived video. It was an interesting time back when, it was very easy to create your own comments on web pages and whatnot. But of course, nowadays, that's since been replaced with WordPress and all that sort of stuff. By the way, I should point out, I do have a separate comment section for videos on my website. So if you want to leave a comment there, go ahead, and hopefully your comment gets approved. By me, of course. Or otherwise, just use YouTube. It's easier. Okay, so the next video we're going to look at is how to install Windows 3.11 on a virtual machine. This was originally created on May 18th, 2014, and the video is less than 6 minutes long, but that's excluding the long intro that I purposely left out. Not only is it about a minute long, or about 40 seconds to be exact, I counted, but it also contains some personal clips that I don't want to show for privacy reasons. So this is where the video starts. Now, before I do continue, I should point out this particular video had a bunch of audio issues. In fact, I do bring this up briefly at the beginning of this particular one. They were all recorded through earpods, which had a built-in microphone, and on top of it, as you'll hear in a moment, there were a bunch of audio syncing issues. But hopefully that won't distract you from what you're about to see here, so let's take a look.
Hey guys, this is SFC from Sageford.com, and today I'm going to show you how to emulate Windows 3.11 on a virtual machine.
Hang on, did I just refer to VMware Fusion as an emulator? Let me play that back again.
And today I'm going to show you how to emulate Windows 3.11 on a virtual machine.
Oh yeah, I did. I confused virtualization software for an emulator. Here's some quick tech education. For those who don't know, emulation is basically where you are running hardware on top of different hardware using reverse engineering, which is considered fair use. This typically requires a bunch more horsepower compared to running it on native hardware. Virtualization, on the other hand, works a lot differently. In virtualization software, the computer is considered the host, and the operating systems running under a virtual machine are considered guests, and you can run as many of them as you want. However, the guest architecture has to be the same as the host architecture, so you can't just run a Windows 7 VM on top of an ARM-based computer like Apple Silicon. So that's pretty much the basic gist of it. Emulation allows you to run different hardware on top of a different piece of hardware, like running, say, a PlayStation game on a PC, whereas virtualization requires that the architecture be the same as the guest operating system. So hopefully that clears things up, and yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but hey, you learn from it.
The requirements you'll need to do this, you'll need the following. You'll need any virtual machine emulator.
Again, there's me referring to virtualization software as an emulator. Big mistake. Also, high sneeze in the background.
I'll be using VMware Fusion for this tutorial, and you'll also need MS-DOS 6.22 and Windows 3.11 installation disks. You can find those on which contains downloads for abandonware operating systems and software such as Windows 3.1.
Oh, sorry, that was my anti-piracy alarm going off. Yeah, I don't encourage that stuff anymore, especially with all the recent news regarding digital platforms, streaming, and yes, even physical media. I really don't want to add more fuel to an already burning inferno, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Back then, it was a much different time. We used to accept it without any of us thinking about it, but yeah.
Alright, so let's get started. So we're going to create a new virtual machine, and just click continue, and create a custom virtual machine, and set its operating system to Microsoft Windows and its version to Windows 3.1. Click continue, click customize settings, and type in the name of your virtual machine. I'm going to name it Windows 3.11, but you can name it whatever you want. And so it will open up this settings panel. So,
Ooh, that is probably the worst Ken Burns transition I've seen. Hang on, we gotta play that back again.
Open up this settings panel. So,
yeah, that was, that was pretty bad. Oh my gosh, man. I didn't know much on, how to position Ken Burns transitions properly. Now I do, but,
this settings panel. So,
yeah. But on the plus side, check out those skeuomorphic icons here. Yeah. This computer at the time was running OS X Mavericks version 10.9, which is a pretty old operating system, but I kind of miss those skeuomorphic icon designs. I do like the flat ones, of course. I mean, it's cheaper, but yeah, I do miss that old style. I really do.
Click processors and memory, and set the memory to 64 megabytes. in size. Then click Show All to go back, and then go to Hard Disk Drive, and then set the disk size to 2 gigabytes since FAT16 only supports up to 2 gigs.
I'm pretty sure my past self is correct on that. FAT32 did support more than 2 gigabytes. FAT16 only supported up to 2, so yeah, there's really nothing else to say about that.
And then click Show All again, and then disable the CD drive. I'll show you how to install a CD-ROM driver in DOS in another video,
which we'll take a look at in the next video I'll be showing here. Also, yes, I was in school at the time. You could definitely see that little pre-algebra disk in there, but yeah, I've since graduated.
We're going to turn it off by default. Then click Add Device and click on Floppy Drive and click Add. And then select the image for MS-DOS 6.22 installation disk 1. Click Close, and then start up your virtual machine.
Again, you'll see the little Ken Burns effect. Much better than the last one, but still not perfect.
And you'll get this.
Ooh, that one was not great. But hey, still better than the first one.
The screen that says Welcome to Setup. Press Enter, and configure unallocated space, and press Enter again. And now it will format your hard drive C drive in the virtual machine.
So this is what I was saying at the beginning about the microphone issues. Yeah, there's a lot of clicks in this one, and I think that issue was fixed in the next one, but it's because of that the audio went out of sync throughout this video, as you'll see in a bit. Of course, now I focus a lot on audio just as much as the video, so there's that.
Hit Enter again, and it'll ask you for a directory, and hit Enter, and then it will ask you to insert disk 2 of the setup. So here's disk 2. Hit Enter again, and then now insert disk 3, and then click Close, and then hit Enter. And once it's done, go ahead and disconnect the floppy, and press Enter again, press Enter, and now it should be booting up into MS-DOS 6.22. Alright, so it's done booting up, so I'm going to go ahead and install Windows 3.11. So I'm going to get the installation disk for that as well, and enable the floppy drive, and type in A:, and then type in setup, and then hit enter again to go to Express Setup, and now it's going to ask you to insert 2 disks. You need to insert disk 2 of the Windows 3.1 setup, hit enter, and then put in disk 3 of the setup, and then press enter again, and now once it's done copying the files.
Again, the Ken Burns effect placement is not right. That was the 4th time I did that in that video, and yeah, still not perfect.
You should get this screen. Type in your name, type in your company, and then click Continue. Click Continue again, and now it's going to ask you for disk 4 and disk 5. And you don't have to worry about disk 6, that's just the printer drivers.
This is the one thing about VMware Fusion that I will not miss when I made the transition to VirtualBox and 86box. In VMware Fusion, if you wanted to change floppies, you had to go to the floppy menu, and then you had to go to the little drop down, and then you had to select the floppy, and then once the floppy was selected, you had to close the window, and then when a new floppy was asked, you had to do the whole thing all over again. That is something I didn't have to deal with when using VirtualBox or 86box. It's just one menu drop down and boom, I could just load up the floppy right there and then go from there. It's just so much faster compared to VMware Fusion. That is definitely something I will not miss.
So hit enter or continue, and hit insert disk 5, and click close, and select, and then press enter or click continue, and now it'll ask you for a printer, but hit cancel to skip that, and click OK. Now it's gonna ask you to run the tutorial, but I'm going to go ahead and skip the tutorial for the sake of this video tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and reboot back into MS-DOS. And if you get this error, disable the floppy. So hit enter, and it should be booted into MS-DOS 6.22. Alright, so in order to get into Windows, you just type in Win, and there you go. There's Windows 3.11. And so you can mess around with it or experiment with it. Before I end this tutorial, I'm going to make this run in startup. So I'm going to exit Windows, and I'm going to type in edit autoexec.bat. And this is what's inside the file. And on the 6th line, I'm going to go ahead and...
Wow, I stuttered there. Sheesh. Also, like I said before, you've probably already noticed the video going out of sync with the audio. Again, I do apologize. That's not on my end. That was how the video was rendered. Yeah.
Type in win, and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go ahead and exit out of it. And now, every time I reboot my computer, it should boot into Windows 3.11. And it boots straight into Windows.
Ta-da!
So there you go, that's about it for this video. You can do some other things as well, like install software, but I'll be showing you that in later tutorials.
Just make sure to obtain it legally if you can.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy my first video tutorials on Windows emulation, and I'll see you next time.
Again, virtualization, not emulation, unless you're using 86box.
I'm going to go ahead and shut down the virtual machine. So I'll see you later. Bye.
And the video just ends abruptly. So there you go. That was how to install Windows 3.11 on a virtual machine. Yeah, it hasn't held up well, but it was kind of a start. And plus, I liked VMware Fusion back in the day. That was back when I only used a Mac to record stuff. Of course, now I use a PC, so options for virtualization and emulation are pretty extensive now, especially with alternatives like VirtualBox being pretty good. And 86box is also great, too, for speed accuracy, of course. But yeah, it was a much different time back then, and I'm kind of both glad and sad for that. You know, I kind of miss using VMware software. It was pretty good. Might still be for the Mac, but, yeah. But as I brought up before, there is a follow-up to this, how to install a CD-ROM driver in MS-DOS or Windows 3.11. And once again, I refer to virtualization software as emulation, despite the fact that they're both different. This video was created on May 24th, 2014, and this one is the longest of the bunch, about 7 minutes long, and that's excluding the intro, which is a lot shorter, but again, I won't show it because some personal clips are in there. This is the first one to utilize royalty-free tracks outside of Apple's own music, specifically Kevin MacLeod, which you may have heard some of his tracks in some of my episodes. They're pretty good music pieces, but anyways, let's take a look and see if I've improved from the last one.
Hey guys, this is SOC from Sage4.com, and welcome to the second part of the Windows emulation tutorial series.
Virtualization, not emulation.
In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install the CD-ROM driver in MS-DOS 6.22 and Windows 3.11.
Now, before I do continue, there is one big mistake that I made in this video. I watched this ahead of time, of course, but we'll get to that when we reach that point.
And the requirements you will need for this tutorial, you will need the virtual machine from the last tutorial, so go ahead and watch that. And you'll only need two files. You will need the mscdex.exe file that's going to be used to read the CD-ROM drivers, and you will need the oak cd-rom.system file, that's the CD-ROM driver. And both of these files can be downloaded in the video description. So let's get started.
By the way, if you actually did look in the video description for those files, don't, because they're not in there.
So first thing you want to do, you want to start up your virtual machine, and what you'll need to do is you will need to get rid of the win command on the autoexec.bat file. So once it boots up to Windows, go to File and exit Windows, and then go to Edit, and then type in Edit autoexec.bat, hit Enter, and just delete the win command out of the autoexec.bat and just save and exit.
Now, one thing you'll definitely notice about this video is the frame rate is much smoother. This is mainly because I switched to new recording software, which you'll see a credit of at the end. But there is a bit of a sacrifice to that. You get smoother frames, but the quality is semi-worse compared to the last one. But at least the frames are smooth and the audio's in sync throughout the whole video, so that's a plus.
So now we're going to load up the CD-ROM driver files. So load up the mscdex.img file, the floppy disk file, and then type in a:, and then go ahead and type in the dir to see what's in there. And as you can see, there's 2 files in there.
By the way, I love the fact that the little thing at the top says volume in drive A is BS. That's it, I've got nothing.
And so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and extract these files into the C-DOS directory. So do copy ****.
That's asterisk, not asterisk. That's about as bad as when I refer to the number symbol or the hash symbol as hashtag in my Apple IIe episode. I've gotten enough comments regarding that. I won't ever do it again.
And then do C:\DOS.
Hey, at least I said backslash. My bad. Hey, at least I said backslash and not backlash. Yeah, I'll shut up.
And then hit enter. So now all the files are copied onto the hard drive. And so now we can eject the disk. So now go to C, and now we're going to edit the configuration file, config.system, and then hit enter, and add a new device. Type in device equals C:\DOS/oak CD-ROM.system, and then add the /D or whatever drive number you wish.
That's drive letter, not drive number.
And type in IDE CD001. And then save the configuration file and hit exit. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to edit the autoexec.bat file, the batch file, and we're going to add a new program below it. And it's going to be the mscdex. So type in C:\DOS/mscdex.exe/d, the drive letter that you specified in.
Okay, so I did correct myself while I was recording. Okay, well, I guess my comment was unnecessary then.
config.system, and then do IDE CD001, the same IDE CD number that we did in the configuration system file. And now we can exit. Now we're going to extract the 2 files, the mscdex.
Okay, so I said extract, not load. You'll see why in a moment.
So go to CD-DOS, type in CD space DOS, and then run the mscdex file. Just go ahead and type in the specifications that you did in the autoexec.bat file. When you hit enter, it's going to open up the self-extract utility, and now it's going to ask you to overwrite 2 files, the README and the mscdex. And once that's done...
Okay, so this was the mistake that I was talking about earlier. Apparently, I don't know how this happened. When I went on the internet to find the CD driver and the mscdex program, I didn't realize, 1, the mscdex program was already in the MS-DOS installation disks, and 2, apparently the program that I found online was a self-extract utility. I don't know how the heck that happened. Also, this is apparently the registered version of the self-extract utility called PKSFX, which was created by a company called PKware Incorporated, PKware being named after the founder, the late Phil Katz. And believe it or not, PKware is actually still around today. They're now owned by a private equity firm, so rest in peace in the future. But here's something that I found interesting while I was researching this. Apparently, PKware is the same company that created the zip format. That's right. The same company that created the open standard for archive files also created this self-extract utility. I guess that kind of makes sense. But yeah, that kind of blew my mind right there. Even videos like this, despite how bad they can be, you can at least learn something new from it years later.
Go ahead and restart your computer. Restart your virtual machine. So now, after it reboots, you should get information on the CD-ROM driver, and you should get the version number for the mscdex.exe. Alright, so there we go. We have the information about the driver, that's right there. And the device name is IDE CD001, and we also have the version number for the mscdex version 2.23, and it's also identified as drive D.
And as we all know, CD-ROM drives are identified as non-binary. Get it? Because letters are not binary numbers? Moving on.
So that means the CD-ROM driver is working, and of course you can load up the drive. You can load up drive D. So I'm gonna go ahead and load up a CD-ROM drive, and of course I've already loaded one up. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in dir.
Nice, totally legally obtained copy of Office 97 right there. Don't worry, I have a legit copy of Office XP in my collection now, so it all balances out.
And there's all the files in that CD. Of course, it's the Microsoft Office 97 Professional CD. But if you want to see the files in there, go ahead and run Windows. So type in Win to start Windows, and if you go to File Manager, there's the CD drive here. If you click on it, there's all the files in there. So, of course, we can't run it because we're running an old version of Windows, because this was designed for Windows 95 and 98. So, hit exit, and then exit Windows. So now that we know the CD-ROM drive is working, we can go ahead and put the auto accept. We can put the Win command back inside the batch file again. So now it starts up Windows every time we start up. And I'm just going to move the echo, the @echo off to the beginning, because I don't want the CDOS smartdrive.exe directory to pop up. Echo would mean the command directory and then the action it's doing. So if you turn off echo, the directory place will be removed.
Yeah, somehow the music was a little louder than the voiceovers. Not sure why, but yeah.
Also, one more thing before I end this video. I'm going to go ahead and do a pause on this. So, pause, basically, I'll show you what it does. It's called the pause command. Now, what the pause command does is it will give you a message that says, press any key to continue. And when you press a key, it will continue, you can continue using the computer. So, when you now restart your computer, you should get a message that says, press any key to continue. Alright, so there's the press any key to continue message. It's right there, next to the mscdex version, and when you press a key, boots into Windows. So there you go, that is my tutorial of how to install a CD-ROM driver into Windows. If you have any more questions, contact us on our website.
And by us, I mean me.
And I'll see you later in the next video. Bye.
So there you go, that was the two-parter of my Windows virtualization, emulation series that didn't really last very long. Also, there's the screen recording software that I used for this video, Screen Recorder Pro, which is no longer on the Mac App Store, but I still have a copy of it backed up, so thankfully I have that. And of course, I used to edit these videos with iMovie before I switched to Final Cut Pro a year later, and haven't looked back since. And no, I'm not trying DaVinci Resolve. Don't ask. And here's the music credit. The Apple Inc. credit was for that intro that I mentioned earlier. And there's the Kevin MacLeod credit. And there's my old domain. Contact us at sagefun.com, which if you go there now, as of this video, it now redirects to my website, savvysage.net. And there's the old SFC logo from over a decade ago. But there you go, that is basically it. Kind of a little hard to watch these days, but hey, we eventually learn from it. Plus, it does make for a legitimately useful tutorial, I guess? So if you want to use it as a legitimate tutorial, go ahead. That's not the purpose of this video, but hey, go ahead if you want. And that's it. Alright, so the last video we'll be looking at today is from April 26, 2014. It's called My Processor Collection. It's pretty self-explanatory, and the video is less than 3 minutes long, which makes it the shortest of the bunch. So, let's take a look. So the first thing you'll notice is the little disclaimer here. Yes, this was the last video to use the quote-unquote old titles. This video was made 1 month before the Windows Virtual Machine videos, so yeah. But there really is no reason to put this in outside of... Yeah, there really is no reason.
Hey guys, this is SFC from Ctron.com. Today I'm going to show you my processor collection. So let's get started.
So first things first, this was recorded off of a Canon PowerShot ELPH110HS, which was my first digital camera I had, and I still have it to this day. It's currently sitting in storage, and I actually did bring it to Vintage Computer Festival Midwest at one point, but the quality was not as great compared to my iPhone minis, so I decided not to bring it to future trips unless I'm doing a camera test, but let's move on.
First one over here is my Pentium 3. I have two Pentium 3s actually. They're both from 2000, and they are both copper mine, made in Philippines. It's 866 megahertz, 256 kilobytes of cache, 133 megahertz bus speed, 1.7 volts. Here's my other one here. It's the same thing. So, these are my two Pentium 3s.
So, these Pentium 3 processors, it took me a while to figure out where I got them from, but after digging through my brain, not literally, I managed to figure out where they came from. These came from an Optiplex GX150, actually two of them, that were obtained from a pizzeria years ago and were also scrapped years ago. As far as I know, both machines did work, but we just didn't have room for any more computers in the house, so we just ended up scrapping them. But thankfully, I kept a few parts, including the Pentium 3 chips. I'm not sure where they are now. They're probably either somewhere or they're probably in the garbage. I don't know where they are now, but yeah.
Also have a Celeron. This is also copper mine, made in Malaysia. It says Malay, but it's Malaysia actually. 566 megahertz, 128 kilobytes of cache, 66 megahertz bus speed, 1.75 volts. Compare it to my Pentium 3. You can see more of the circuitry on the processor. And this is also from 2000.
So this Celeron processor, I definitely know where this came from. This came out of an NCR point-of-sale unit, and this most likely came out of that same pizzeria. As far as I know, that unit did work at one point, but eventually it didn't, and that's why it ultimately got scrapped. But I did keep the CPU. Again, I don't know where it is. It's probably long gone, but still, it had to come from somewhere.
Here's another one. This is I put an Intel Pentium 4 sticker on it. Pentium 4 sticker is really dirty, but underneath the sticker, there's some info on it. It's a 2.26 gigahertz, 512 kilobyte cache, 533 megahertz bus speed, 1.5 volts. It says 01 on it. I don't know if this is from 2001. Probably from the mid 2000s, I'm gonna say. So that's my collection of processors, and I have an Intel Inside sticker from a Dell Dimension, or actually an HP Compact.
It's pronounced compact, not compact.
A thrown out HP Compact.
Again, compact, not compact. And as my past self said, yes, this did come out of a HP Compact desktop unit, also from that same pizzeria. That one was also trashed years ago, and probably for good reason, but as far as I know, that was one of the only machines I had that could run Windows XP, and I messed around a lot with GameMaker and all that, which I would love to cover in a future episode. Not Windows XP, but GameMaker. For a while, that was the only Pentium 4 desktop machine I had until I obtained a Dell Optiplex from a yard sale years later. But yeah, it's nice to have one in my collection again.
So those are my processors in my collection.
And ignore that text here, because it's totally irrelevant to the video. But there you go. That is pretty much it for my videos from 2014. And of course, these aren't the only ones that I made back then. I also did a video on Sorry Sliders, the board game, back in January of 2014. I actually still have that to this very day. It's been sitting in storage for a while. I also did a video on a deluxe Learn to Solder kit, which I never bothered finishing. You might have seen a snippet of that from one of my Macintosh Classic Restoration videos. That clip came from that old video. I also did a video on the Mindstorms EV3, which I still have, and I most likely won't be getting rid of because I found out that the EV3 brick itself uses the ARM architecture, and it is technically possible to put Debian on it, so that might be a project I'll undertake in a future episode, or possibly an Insider vlog. And speaking of video logs, I also did a video on a day at the thrift store where I found a Nintendo DS, a red one, for around $10, which I also did a video on as well. And speaking of that thrift store, the last item I came across before it closed and then reopened years later was a Bondi Blue iMac. At the time, I didn't have any funds to get one, but nowadays I kind of regret not getting it. And of course, I haven't forgotten about the abundance of Minecraft Let's Plays that I did at the height of its popularity back when it was an actual indie game before it was bought by one of the biggest tech companies in the world, but that's a whole other subject entirely. But yeah, I did a lot of videos back in 2014, and all of them were published on my website's Video Corner years ago. But yeah, there you go. That was basically what I did back in 2014 before I started my YouTube channel. Things were a lot different back then, and it's kind of fun to look back and cringe at some of my past works coming from a guy who has definitely improved a lot since then. I put a lot of effort into making these videos for my show, and I'm very grateful to make them free for everybody to watch. However, this comes at a cost. The amount of work that goes into the production of said episodes, including the research, not only requires time but also money, especially when it comes to covering obscure subjects. This is why I started up a Patreon. For $3 a month, you not only help support my efforts in preserving history properly, but also get some exclusive perks, such as early access to new episodes, behind-the-scenes content, bonus downloads, and an extensive library of video logs. You also get access to an insider-only text and voice chat on my Discord server, so you can hang out with other insiders and even join exclusive sessions. But if you decide not to use Patreon, that's fine. I also offer the same perks through my YouTube channel memberships for the same price. Plus, you also get a badge next to your username, as well as access to exclusive emojis that you can use in the comments or live chat. To get started, visit patreon.com/SavvySage, or click the join button on YouTube to become a Savvy Insider today. And when you do that, you're also supporting my hard work, so thank you very much. But if you decide not to become a member, that's fine. Just watching my show and sharing it with others also helps. So there you have it, folks. It was kind of fun revisiting my past and seeing how far I've come since then. But we've only just scratched the surface. In my next episode, we'll be taking a look at my very first YouTube videos, where I cover the Raspberry Pi. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Take care.